We are here with the Ron and Sean show today.
Hey, how you guys doing?
So Pastor John is gone. No,
He's taking a little time off this
taking
week.
some time off, and he left it up to us.
Yeah, he left the inmates to run the asylum.
Pastor John has left the building. How you doing, Ron?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Just always blessed to be here and
Yeah.
do what we do.
Yeah, you and I are both blessed to be the co-hosts of
Yeah.
the Common Good Radio Show today. Normally featuring Pastor John McLean of the Veteran Rescue Mission, unbelievable nonprofit he's put together
Right.
to assist veterans who are could use a little bit of help.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and his purpose is in his mission has always been dear to me. Not
Right.
that my dad had ever gone through anything like that, but he was a veteran. So it's
Yeah.
good to
Same with
see.
me. Yeah.
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 What branch was your dad in?
Army.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. My dad was in Vietnam. My
Ooh.
grandfather was in World War II in Korea.
Wow.
So,
Oh.
yeah.
Wow. Where did you grow up?
I grew up here in Tucson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was actually enlisted in the Army.
Wow.
I was part of the delayed entry program.
Mm-hmm.
And then about 2 months before I was supposed to ship off, they deactivated the delayed entry
Oh
programs.
wow. Wow.
Said that we
Interesting.
wouldn't go into war, and there wasn't
Uh-huh.
any need for us. And then
Yeah.
a year later, we were in Iraq.
Oh wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
My dad was in the Air Force and born in San Bernardino, moved to Alaska, Texas. Just met somebody last week from Austin, Texas.
Oh. Yeah.
Not that I remember any of it. South Dakota, the Philippines, beautiful North Dakota.
Okay.
Beautiful if you love living in the Antarctic.
Yeah.
And then kind of quote unquote grew up in West Germany at the time.
West Germany. Okay.
Yeah, lots
Before
of good,
that wall came down.
before the wall came down, and a lot of good stories. Probably not appropriate for the Common Good Radio Show, not
Right,
for Pastor John's show, but maybe one day you and I could start our own podcast,
Yeah. There you go.
and we can talk about some of the shenanigans.
Yeah. Yeah. So after my dad came out of doing his Army enlistment, then he came back to Tucson and he
Mhm.
married my mom, and he worked at the Air Force Base for
Oh,
35
nice.
years.
Oh, really?
He was an aircraft mechanic. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
I grew up on the base,
Yeah.
just as
Yeah.
a kid doing a lot
Yeah.
of things on the base.
Yeah.
He played softball out there at the base, and he
Mhm.
bowled in the base. So
Yeah. That's kind of what my dad did.
Yeah.
Played softball and bowled.
yeah. Yeah.
To maybe keep out of trouble.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. So you and I, we actually kind of made up our little agenda for the show today.
Right.
Let's see, we started 5 minutes ago, so 6 minutes ago we came up with
Pretty much.
pretty much what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Talking about Tucson.
Talking about Tucson, this
Yeah.
time of year, it's so beautiful here. I mean, this is the
Absolutely.
time,
Yeah.
except for a little bit of the allergies, and I know some
Mhm.
people are affected more by the allergies than
Mhm.
others, but it's time to be outside and enjoying the outdoors.
Yeah. Yeah. Every year kind of gets kicked off with the Gem Show.
Yeah.
We had the pro golf tournament a few weeks ago. This past weekend, the 4th Avenue Street Fair, which is, brought
Right.
in 300,000 people.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And the rodeo, and there's
the
car
rodeo,
shows,
the car-
and there's
yeah.
just all kinds of things
Yeah.
going on. The horse races.
Yeah, so our economy in particular, local small businesses have really benefited from typically this first, 60 to 90 days of the year.
Yeah,
There should be a big surge, not just in the hospitality, but with, the bars and the restaurants.
Right.
So,
And
that's
sometimes even the rental car.
hotels,
Hotels, yeah.
Convenience stores.
Yeah.
A friend of mine actually put together a report. I forgot, like a synopsis over like how much money is actually brought in, specifically over the street fair.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, it's millions, but just the trickle effect that it has,
Right. Yeah.
for just everybody in town. And you could see it. I mean, you could tell by the traffic. I know it's
Oh,
kind of,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That there's, Airbnbs,
Yeah.
right? But, there's different license plates almost on every other car in
Right.
town, and we all get frustrated by it. But at the same time, it's a huge injection of into our local economy.
Right. Right. And there's certain businesses that they do most of their business maybe only 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one thing, you and I are business owners.
Right.
Ron, tell us a little bit about your business, then I'll brag about mine.
Sure. I own Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. So we're a full-service contractor for both commercial and residential,
Yeah.
taking care of all our customers' needs.
Yeah, and we kind of joked last week, but you're kind of like the new Chris Edwards. And Pastor John said that, and I'm like, yeah, you're right, because I hear you all the time on the radio with your
thank you.
commercials, your
Yeah.
jingle. And so it's cool to actually be sitting across from you.
Well, thank
You know
you.
what I mean? So
Yeah, we work hard at it.
you do. How long have you been in business?
22 years.
22. So you
Yeah.
started when you were 12.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So I mean that's a huge accomplishment. For 22 years, like with the agency that I recently merged with, CS Design Studios, they've been around for 15.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's a stat that we're kind of the top 10% of the 1% or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Because as you reach, every milestone,
Yeah.
the likelihood of you being in business is less and less.
Sure.
So I wonder, like in particular, your industry, especially here in town, because there's a few.
There's a lot of
You have some
competition here.
competition.
Yeah. I've read before that the top business for failure rate is restaurants. And then the second top business for failure rate is HVAC
is what you
contractors.
do.
Yeah.
And you've been around 2 decades.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're probably top 1 of the 1%. Have you ever
I never thought about that.
Yeah, absolutely, you are. You know, and part of that, the way to gauge that is your revenue over those years as well. But I would not be shocked if you found something like a model, and it would show that you're probably top 1 of the 1%
Oh, wow.
across the U.S. in your particular.
Well, that's a privilege and honor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
we're here to serve.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really what we are. I mean, that's our focus.
And that's kind of what we're going to get to in the next segment is now that the small businesses, whether it's a local or even, regional area we've had this huge influx of money. Hopefully the small businesses were prepared and
Yeah.
hopefully you plan for the rest of the year and don't blow all your profits.
Right.
And, or you invest it wisely.
Yeah.
But that's what Ron and I are going to talk about. Pretty much the rest of the show is kind of give our feedback and our perception, because you and I are kind of hyper in tune with every business we walk into.
Right. We're looking around.
Yeah. My friends hate being with me because I'm overly critical, and I
Right.
always apologize. I do. And I kind of try to keep my mouth shut. And it's not that I'm being bougie about it. It's just
Right.
that you and I see things.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we would do this, we would do that.
Right.
But we don't know the behind the scenes of why it's done that way.
true.
However, I think Ron and I are going to have a lot of good input.
We will.
For
Yeah, it's going to be a good show.
It's going to be a tremendous show. So we have not practiced this. Who's taken us out this last 40 seconds? Have you ever gone into break?
I think I did once, but go for it.
I will go for it. You are listening to the Common Good Radio Show. Sans, is
Yeah.
that Pastor John McLean, who is taking a little vacation, much deserved vacation. You know what it is? He's getting beat on the courts by his son.
Oh, there you go.
I saw it on FanDuel. He's a plus 350 underdog.
Oh. Welcome back. We're at the Common Good Radio Show. I'm Ron Arenas, and we're here with Sean. He's we're here as a co-host today.
It takes 2 of us to replace one.
That's right. That's right. We're trying to do our best to replace Pastor John.
Yeah. And, we're going to start a bunch of rumors of where he's at. I say that he's, took some time off to go play ball with his sons,
Yeah.
to try to maybe get up to their level. He always brags that he's, able to run them, but I don't know.
As your sons get older, they
get stronger.
They get stronger and bigger.
faster.
And, yeah.
And John just doesn't look like he has handles. You know what I mean? He probably can't, dribble very well. You could tell from his calves he can't jump that.
He can't jump.
So the only thing he has going for him is maybe his outside jump shot. Maybe. If that.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, so that's one of the theories. Every segment, the last 2 segments, will come up with a new theory.
All right.
What is John doing today?
So we're talking a little bit about what we see when we're going into other businesses, customer service, different things that we notice.
Yeah, and we're not we're not picking on specifically local businesses, and we know I think part of the reason why we've done well is because we always have that mentality if we want to learn something new all the time.
Yeah,
in the short time you and I have known each other for the past few months, you are always learning.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's
we'll never quit learning.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think, for sure, you're top, tier when it comes to a small business owner, and I think I'm still earning my stripes, right? But
you're doing it right.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying. But, one of the things that, even last week with Chris Edwards, one of the things he's always learning something new.
Right.
And he's always in front of people, and he always has a smile, that great attitude.
Yeah. The world doesn't stand still. So if you're standing still, you're going backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to be learning, you have to be adapting, and you have to just keep moving forward.
And mindset, and I think the mindset of an organization, any organization, starts at the top.
Right.
If you come in with a good attitude and, you come in humble, but yet confident, and you're going to lead your team into that next day or the next week, the next month, the next quarter, that trickles down. If you come in bah humbug and you're all upset every day,
right?
Do you think with that attitude, Ron, you'd be around for 22 years?
No, I don't think so.
Not at all.
No, you have to create a culture.
Yeah,
you have to create a culture that you want, and then and then you find the people that fit that culture, and then you just keep moving forward. Yeah, and you're gonna lose people, and there's going to be people that don't fit in that you thought fit in, and that don't buy into your culture. There's always it's a windy road. It's not a straight road to where you're going.
Yeah, but that culture, those people are your front line.
Yeah,
right.
If someone from my company goes and fixes your air conditioner and you don't know me, that person is my company.
Yeah,
and if they do a bad job, then my company is a bad company.
Yeah. And that holds true for if you own a restaurant or a bar or whatever.
If you have a bad server, then it's like, this restaurant's not any good.
Yeah.
So
you and I have kind of dated ourselves, so you can kind of put us in a generation. But I remember being younger, and it's like everywhere you went, when you'd walk into a place, they greeted you within the first 3 seconds.
Yeah. If you walk in some place, they acknowledge you. Maybe they can't seat you at that moment, or they can't help you right then, but they'll at least wave at you or say, "Hey, I'll be with you in just a moment."
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of lost now.
It is. But when you do receive it, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. It's special.
It made your day.
Yeah.
And you're going to remember it.
Right.
And you're going to come back over something that's small of a gesture.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
But I don't know. It's one of those things, and, there are, I don't want to sound like a negative ninny, but you and I are just trying to provide some feedback and some input. It's like, you got to invest in your employees. You got to invest into their well-being. You got to, be able to, take their pulse and actually sit down with them every month. Yeah. And just see how they're doing.
You do. For me, sometimes it's just visiting them on the job, or one of us riding along with them, or making sure they have everything they need. Sometimes they won't tell you that they don't have what they need. Right. Even though they need it, and it's like, well, if I had this little tool, it'd make my life so much easier. Okay, well, let's get that tool for you, because it's clearly going to benefit you.
Yeah, and being part of CS Design Studios, we assist small businesses with their websites, their SEO, Google, social media. One thing that the principal partner, the main owner, Wyatt, put in place during the pandemic was a 4-day work week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and you only need to come into the office twice a week.
Okay.
So you work 4 days.
Yeah.
You get paid for 5.
Right.
And you only have to come in the office twice.
Wow.
So that's being, ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
That's taking care of your employees. He's very in tune with everybody there, because he knows that, they're the developers and the people working on, all the accounts, that's our front line.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they misspell something.
Yeah.
Or they overlook something, or they misbill something, that's, a reflection on the whole organization. But Wyatt does his part by keeping everybody fresh.
Right.
And if you have a little puppy, you bring your dog into work. So it's a very comfortable environment. It's a very lively environment. Not to mention it's all sci-fi'd out. You
Oh
know,
wow.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we're on Trail Dust Town, and you're walking in, and you've been to Trail Dust Town, right?
Sure.
Very Western,
Mhm.
right? Then you walk into our offices, and it's like you've walked in on the Death Star.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's all Star Trek and Troned out.
Okay.
Yeah. And rumor has it there's a number of video games around too.
Okay.
But it's an awesome environment, right? It's
Yeah.
a very creative type of environment as well.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So-
good.
Yeah. What else do you do for your employees?
So we do. I mean, one of the key things that we do. That's a small thing. Is anytime we have any meetings or anything, we provide food. You know,
Oh, wow.
we feed them.
That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's huge.
So
Is it like sandwiches you make the night before?
No. Sometimes we'll cater it. Sometimes my wife will make a bunch of food.
Nice.
But yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So we try to feed
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
anytime that we can, and
That's
that goes
really
a long
cool.
way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you've been doing that for a while?
We've been doing that for a long time. Yeah.
Do you get any special requests?
No, not really.
Yeah, because they all
Uh,
appreciate it.
Yeah, they appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a thing where you've catered somewhere and they're like, where you've been like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. There's been a couple that's like, we're not going to do that again.
We're not going to call them
Yeah.
back up again. So what's been your favorite event of, these first 60 to 90 days in Tucson? Have you gone out to the street fair or?
I didn't make it to the street fair. My entire weekend was filled up, and I didn't realize that the street fair was this weekend.
Yeah. It's not too far after the spring one. It's not too far after the winter street fair.
Yeah.
It seemed like
that's
we
true.
just barely cleaned up after that, and all of a
Right.
sudden you got the
Yeah,
spring.
and the spring one is usually the one I go to, but
yeah.
just missed it this year.
I went out there to do some photos and some video for some clients that were out there, and I thought I'd get there before the crowd hit.
Right.
Friday about noon, it was packed.
Oh wow.
It was packed. So yeah, and I ran into a buddy of mine I hadn't seen in like 20 years.
Yeah. I went to high school at Tucson High.
Oh,
So,
you're right there.
So when the spring,
Yeah.
when it was there in the spring, we'd ditch, half the day and
absolutely,
go
yeah.
over there and walk around.
Yeah. Have a favorite spring street food you like?
No,
just everything.
Everything, yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, whatever we can get our hands on.
All right. So we're about to go into break right now. We're going to have our theory number 2 of why John's not here.
Right. Here we are again, Sean and Ron at the Common Good Radio Show.
The Sean and Ron Show. Minus John. Theory number 2 why he's not here.
Yeah.
He got locked into the Sam's Club.
Oh.
They locked him in.
Yeah.
He fell asleep at his table.
He had a really big meal.
Had a really
And he
big
got
meal.
tired.
He got tired, took a nap, and he's locked inside the Sam's Club right now.
Yeah, I think that's pretty believable.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think both of our theories have been on par.
Yeah. I
On
mean,
par.
he'd just be ready for the next networking event. He'd wake up and maybe they'd bring him some coffee and then
He's got to
start
steam
networking.
out the jacket. He's got a ball cap on, so
Right.
you can't tell if he's showered or not.
That's right. That's right.
So we're talking about local business and, all the local events going on here, and we're kind of giving, our perception,
Yeah.
and our, for what it's worth, our advice for small businesses around
Sure.
town, right? So, you and I are both passionate about local business, and,
Right.
I have the honor of assisting so many local businesses each and every day with their digital marketing, their presence, right?
Right.
And inevitably, it comes down to, okay, if we're investing all this money into your marketing,
Right.
is the person who's going to pick up the phone in a couple of rings, and are they going to be pleasant?
Yes.
Yes.
That is huge.
Yeah.
That-
Otherwise, you're kind of throwing away all your investment.
You
right?
are. Yeah. Yeah, that could be that could possibly be the first impression and possibly the only impression
Yeah.
that they only get to make for that person.
After a not so successful one,
Yeah.
it'll be the only impression.
Right.
So, I mean, for what it's worth, I've only been doing this for, 7 years and whatever, but I always advise my clients, it's like before we put something in place, when someone walks into your place or if someone's going to your website or if someone's going to call you up, is that in place first?
Right. That, and if you are doing some kind of campaign, some kind of advertising campaign or special, you want to make sure that you have the employees, the personnel to handle that. If you're going to do some special and it's going to bring in all these new customers possibly, then you want to make sure you can handle that.
Yeah. So we are proud at CS Design Studios to say we've actually been, I don't want to say fired. It wasn't the right word, but we've been kind of let go because we brought in too much business before.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
This company was like, you know what? I mean, we're kind of throwing away dollars because we can't handle no more business.
Right. Exactly.
So they recently came back to us this last month or so. But that's one of the things you have to kind of take into effect. I mean, your presentation and your brand.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, everybody that puts on your logo, everybody that represents you, everybody that you're writing a paycheck out to, they're an extension of your brand.
They are.
You know?
Yeah.
So
not only your brand, but if you're a small business owner, they're an extension of you, almost personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's been, you know, I have a few myself, but what's been one of your biggest turning lemons into lemonade stories?
Just sometimes maybe a technician did something that a customer didn't like, or they made a mistake, and you know, the customer's upset and they call, and it's just talking through. Some customers just want to be heard. They just want to be heard. They're frustrated. They want to be heard. And you can win that customer back. Of course, you want to do the right thing for the customer. If it's something needs to be corrected, you correct it. But sometimes they just want to be heard, and you know, you understand, you have empathy for them, and you gain that customer, or you retain that customer, I guess I should say.
You said something in the beginning of that short little statement. You guys made a mistake.
Sure.
Do you allow your employees to make mistakes?
Yeah, there's mistakes. I mean, I don't want them to make mistakes, of course. But I mean, if it's a mistake, it's a mistake.
Yeah.
If it's something that's blatantly negligent or whatever, then of course we're going to address that.
Right. But I think maybe that's one of the things that too many small business owners put too much of an emphasis on their employees is you can't make mistakes.
Yeah.
But the reality is we all make mistakes.
We all make mistakes.
And the reality is like, as a customer or a client of any small business, of any business, we know that.
Yeah.
And as long as it's acknowledged and say, hey, you know, we kind of messed up here, but here's how we already fixed it.
Right.
Then
Exactly.
you're turning lemons into lemonade.
You are. Yeah.
You know, it's
and
not
the customers
a big
appreciate
deal.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not a big deal. There's been so many times where I've been in situations where it's like, you know what, we kind of messed this up. We took care of it, and your next time back's on us as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, by no means that I expect to go that far, but when they do, I'm back there over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And it could also be a learning situation for your employee.
Exactly. Yeah. To kind of, you know, come up front and be forthright, and, you know, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, well, like you said, as long as it's not egregious and on purpose.
Yeah. It's like, hey, maybe we need to handle this different next time.
Right. But I think that's one of the things that maybe too many employees are afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's not that bad.
It's not. But that comes back to culture.
Right.
It does.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you do to protect your business's reputation?
Well, I mean, we strive, of course, to have a good reputation, and we do a lot of our Google reviews and different reviews like that.
Yeah.
And then if someone calls in and they're not happy with our service, we address them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it do you have a special, you probably don't get that many complaints.
No.
But is there a process that you kind of follow, or is it just kind of second nature?
It's kind of second nature.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just been doing things so long.
And everybody's unique with their own.
They are.
You know.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just maybe sticker shock because they haven't bought anything, you know, in a long time.
Right.
And prices have gone up so much in the last 5 years that you really can't compare. You can't compare 5 years ago from today.
Yeah. What separates Picture Rocks from, you know, your competitors?
We're very thorough with what we do. We do that next step. We do a lot of training throughout the year, and so we're looking at all the aspects that we design your air conditioning system to work the way it's supposed to work, and know, that's
Yeah.
what we try to do.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I mean, you are talking specifically about your industry, but any small business owner could apply anything you just said into their own industry.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Research,
stuff.
classes.
I think we should take this and charge for our show. Maybe we should do a little seminar.
We could.
A
Yeah.
little seminar. Let's get that set up.
Yeah, we can.
Take Ron and Sean on the road.
Yeah. Look out, Tucson.
You are listening to a very uncommon Common Good radio show right now, minus Pastor John McLean. We look forward to heading into the last segment. We'll be right back. And we're back with the Common Good radio show. And this last segment is actually my segment.
Right?
So I can do whatever I want.
There you go.
Do you have a theory of why you think John is not with us today?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I have one more.
Okay.
I have one more. He ate too many chicken wings at the Sands Club. That's all he eats there.
Oh, really?
Have you ever taken him out to lunch?
Yeah, we've been at lunch there.
He had wings, I bet.
Okay, he probably did.
Yeah, that's
probably did.
He have all this other phenomenal lunches and dinners and everything, entrees.
I like their salmon over there.
Yeah, the
blackened salmon.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's my go-to.
Yeah.
But if I'm feeling like I want to indulge a little bit, the BLT fettuccine.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, you get that the next time, and
Yeah.
if you don't like it, you can put it on my tab. Oh my God, unbelievable! But you have enough carbs that's going to last you the next 10 days.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to go out
You
to
got to
lunch
plan a
and
nap. Yeah.
yeah. I'll just
So-
have to plan a long bike ride.
There you
Right
go.
after that.
Walk around campus,
Yeah.
something. So this last corner, we have been talking a lot of business,
Right.
throughout the show, but specifically on the marketing corner with yours truly, we try to, add a little bit more to the people striving to, start their own business or the entrepreneurial mindset. And so far, I mean, I've got a lot of phenomenal feedback, and
Right.
part of that is because of the guests and, people
Yeah.
that co-host and just the experience that we've had on this show has been unreal. But how have you seen business so far this year? I know there's a lot of skepticism in general out there.
Yeah, for my business, it's just we rely a little bit more on the weather,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had a pretty mild 3 months.
It's been a cold
yeah,
for Tucson.
yeah, cold for Tucson, not for anyone else.
right.
But it's been pretty mild, so
Yeah.
we're really busy right now. Last 2 weeks have been really
Yeah.
really busy, but February and the first part of March we're kind of slow for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm new with CS Design Studios, but we had a phenomenal quarter.
Good.
Home run, knocked it out of the ballpark. And, whatever that's attributed to, for what my perspective is that there's been a lot more positivity than pessimism in today's market. We're
Yeah.
all kind of leery of what's on the horizon and this and that.
Yeah, you look on the national scene and it looks pretty scary. And
It looks pretty scary,
Yeah.
but we've been saying that for a long time.
right.
It looks pretty scary.
Yeah, the
here
sky
it
is
comes.
falling,
The
but
sky's falling,
but it hasn't.
but it hasn't. And by no means are Ron and I are taking one side or another, but both sides,
Right.
of whatever
Oh
have
yeah.
doom and gloom. But at the end of the day, I mean, things aren't that bad. I mean,
They're
there's-
not. They're not.
But I think one thing with the pandemic, I know for myself, it made me a much more intelligent business owner.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's an interesting time. I mean, we're a service company, so we're in
Mhm.
people's homes.
yeah.
And they still needed us throughout that pandemic.
Yeah.
So we were there. We were servicing people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it made me much more conscientious of the financial side of my business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It made me much more conscientious of expanding and getting more deeper into, the knowledge I had, because I had a lot more time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it just kind of like allowed me to kind of, for lack of a better term, like go back to school
Okay.
and kind of relearn a lot of things or
Yeah.
think more outside the box.
Yeah.
And be more prepared, not just for tomorrow or the next couple of weeks, but more long term.
Right. Almost
Yeah.
some emergency preparedness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say like my emergency funds are a lot more robust now
Yeah.
than they were before the pandemic. And
Yeah, and we had employees that did get sick, and we'd have to give them extended
yeah,
time off and figure out how we were going to do things without them.
right.
Yeah.
Did you think you became much more lean? Was there was there any expenses that you found were like, we really don't need this, we really don't need that?
Yeah, sometimes you look at things and, it's just you trim a little bit of the fat off.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it made you a better business owner.
Sure.
Was there anything else in the last 22 years that you can recall that, whether it was an event or something happened, or maybe some kind of an internal crisis or whatever it is that made you a better business owner over the last 22 years?
Yeah, there was, and I remember this. It was in 2008. We took a business class. It was like a financials class, and it was just for contractors. And the year before, I had the best year ever in numbers, but I was in the red at the end of the year.
Huh.
And this financial class just went over everything, and the light bulb went off.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
My pricing structure and some of the things I'm doing just isn't correct to have a viable business for the long term.
So in the many hats that you've worn over the years, have you alleviated some of those responsibilities and put that in other people's hands?
I have. Yeah. We have some different managers now for our
Okay.
different divisions.
Yeah. How often do you meet as a team?
Every week.
Every week? Once a week?
Once a week with
Yeah.
the managers, and then once a month as a whole company. Yeah.
Is there a specific model, or is it just kind of, this is what we've done the last 20 years, is how the meeting kind of flows? Or
No, it's definitely changed. Yeah. So we share different things with them. There's times where we share financials with them, tell them where we're at and where we need to be, where we expect to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting, because I know with CS Designs, we have regular meetings.
Yeah.
So now it's, they're all phenomenal, and they're all very, very, we get a lot out of them.
Right.
We just don't sit there and kind of twiddle our thumbs. I mean, there's
Yeah.
an agenda and a structure to it.
Yeah.
And kind of going from working for myself into a team,
Right.
it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I've kind of had to relearn how to be a good teammate.
Yeah.
For the most part, I just sit there and I be quiet, right?
My wife is really good about putting an agenda together.
Really?
And then we just go
Yeah.
through the agenda, and it flows really well.
Yeah.
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 Because without that, then we're just all just kind of talking.
Yeah. And one of the things, there was a little bit of miscommunication between who was supposed to be on the show today. And one of the questions I had for John and his wife, Dr. Laura, was that the two of them work different industries, but side by side in the same building.
Oh.
How much do you and your wife work together?
We work together a lot. Yeah. I'm not in the field fixing air conditioners really anymore. I'll go help out if it's a big job or someone needs a hand. I'll go help out. But I'm not in the truck fixing things anymore.
So I had a question for John, not, John Spur and his wife. It's like, are you always have that, husband and wife relationship, or is there, okay, we're at work, we have our roles, or is there never a time where you're never not the husband? You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're always husband and wife. But then there's things that's like, hey, I need to get this done. You need to get that done. And we're going to, we're going to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I could do it. There's a reason why I'm single. No, I not that I ever think about it, but I just know myself. And I know that when I'm in that zone,
Yeah.
I'm in the zone, and that a marketer is the only thing I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're in your creative zone.
When I'm in my creative zone, or, some kind of analytical, I'm studying, some metrics or whatever. That's the only thing that's on my mind.
Right.
And when I've office downtown by myself, and when people walk by, they're like, Sean, you want to, they tell me I have this look on my face. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
we can't bother you now.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's one of the things going back to work for a team. I'm trying to keep on the happy face.
Right. Yeah. I used to be a production manager at a church. And we had a whole production team, and we were live feeding out to other locations, other churches.
Yeah.
And my dad was helping out at the church also, and he had come up, and I'm like, I can't talk to you right now, because I'm focusing on this. I'm focusing, on the service that we're doing right now, and he understood. So, but it was kind of the same thing. You're zoning in, and you're just doing everything to the best of your ability.
Yeah, well, I give you credit. Give you credit for being able to wear both hats at once. What advice would you give somebody who, not in your industry, obviously, but someone who just wants to kind of start their own business here in town?
Well, even though it sounds like a good idea, you'd really want to do some research and make sure that need is there, whatever it is.
Right.
And then are they willing to pay for your services or your product or whatever it is? Right. And are they going to pay for what it's worth?
Yeah.
If you're hand-making jewelry or whatever, then, are they going to pay you for that, for what it's worth?
I've run into a lot of entrepreneurs, and we talked in very high level, and I asked them, how much are you going to charge? And they're, well, I'm going to charge X amount. And I'm like, I don't care how many years experience. You need at least 20 years experience before you reach that point.
Yeah.
No, and there's someone down the street. Yeah, they've been doing it for years. They have that expertise. They have the brand.
That's right.
One of the things I did when I started, and a lot of people disagreed with me over the years, is my rates were very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I had my competitors taking me out for coffee, asking me how I was doing it.
Oh, wow.
And some people were more creative than me, and some people were more, different ideas on how to accomplish what I was doing. But my idea was like, I'm going to come in a little bit, or sometimes substantially below.
Yeah. And get that market share.
But I'm going to have this client for life.
Yeah. Because you're going to do a great job for them.
And I did. And I'll always add one of the things that, again, a lot of people disagree. And I can't not agree with them too. I get it. But I've always been a value added type of a person.
Yeah.
If I can add value to somebody's program, and not charge them anything more and just kind of take it on my own just to kind of retain that client forever.
Right.
Then I've always been a proponent to do that.
Yeah. So that's what you're doing. You're bringing value to your customer.
Yeah. I remember, first I was always real quick. We're about to end the show here, but I was strictly a Facebook guy. But then once I understood Instagram, my good clients, I gave them Instagram.
Okay.
No added charge, no whatever, just value added. So thanks for joining the Ron and Sean Show. Next week, you'll get your favorite Pastor John McLean back in action. And it was great. It was really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. Till next week.